We do bands, we do DJs, we do national acts, we do speed painters, character artists. We do the craziest things. If you think it, we've got it. And if we don't have it, we'll find it. We will not disappoint. That is our promise and commitment to everyone. And have a Breezin day.
Hi, this is Cindy Dervech, owner and CEO of Breezin Entertainment. And today I'm joined with my executive, Michael Dervech, and Jesse Wilcox on Breezin Chats. On today's episode of Breezin Chats, we will be discussing how to live, work, and play in South Tampa, discussing how small business owners and community leaders can work together to make Tampa the best place to be. Today's guest is a two-time honoree of Businesswoman of the Year, a two-time honoree of Business of Pride, and was named in 2017 Tampa Bay Business and Professional Women Foundation's Woman of the Year. Most recently, she was included in the Tampa Bay Business Journal's Power 100, a guide of the Tampa Bay area most influential business leaders. A graduate of the Florida State University,
the Florida State,
with a BS in political science. Our guest has helped the South Tampa Chamber become one of the 20 chambers in the state of Florida to be designated as a Certified Plus Chamber by the Florida Association of Chamber Professionals. Actively involved in the community as a member of the Community Support Council for MacDill Air Force Base and the Civilian Chair of Tampa Air Force Ball, our guest serves on the Board of Directors for the Girl Scouts of West Central Florida and is the West Central Region Chair to the Florida Association of Chamber Professionals. Without any more further ado, very, very excited to introduce you to my friend Kelly Flannery, who is the CEO of the South Tampa Chamber, and my friend who I have known for, I don't know how many years, Cal?
I've been back here in Tampa for 11 years, and I feel like you were probably one of the first people that I reconnected with when I came back. So growing up here in Tampa, my experience was, as a minor, as a child, as a teenager. So to move away for 10 years and then come back, I was essentially coming back to a brand new city. There were malls and restaurants and stores where there didn't used to be. I had no professional contacts here outside of my job, and I just remember I was the director of events at the Center Club, and one day this beautiful, vivacious lady came bouncing into my office and said, "Hi, I'm Cindy Dervech, and I want to work with you here at the club. I want to be your preferred entertainment provider." And over the next couple of months, you really took me under your wing. You mentored me, you connected me, you invited me out to networking events, introduced me to your professional and personal contacts, and 10, 11 years later, here we are, still friends, still going strong.
And she's still walking into random organizations and companies doing the same thing, Kelly.
Oh, God, stop it. It's just hard to believe. And I do have to tell you, Jesse and I were talking. She asked me, how long have I known you? To be really honest, that might be the first time I've heard that you used to live here. What schools did you go to?
Born and raised here, not only in Tampa, but in South Tampa. Christ the King Coleman Plant was my track.
I didn't even know that.
Growing up.
Panthers, right?
Yeah,
both of us, yeah.
So moved away in 1998, went to Florida State for 4 years, and spent 5 years in Chicago, and then came back to Tampa in 2008, or maybe in 2007, somewhere in there.
Yeah, what made you come back to Tampa?
My entire family is here. Most of my close girlfriends are here. And I love living in Chicago with the exception of the winters. But my heart was just always here. My heart was in Tampa. And I had some family members that had been ill. My grandfather passed away, and I had come in for Christmas and was flying back up to Chicago. And I'm like, what am I doing? Everyone I love, everything I love is here in Tampa. It was also 80 degrees here in Tampa that day. It was -2 degrees in Chicago.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, I just spent the last week visiting home for Christmas, wearing shorts, and now I'm going back to this crazy cold place. Walked into my boss's office on January 2nd, gave 30 days notice, and February 2nd, I was on my way back to Tampa with no plan, no job.
But your family was thrilled, I'm
Called my mom after work and said, guess what I just did? I need you to pay me a down payment on somewhere to live. I need an apartment. I need somewhere to go, and let me know if you know anyone that needs a catering manager because I need a job. I'm coming home in 30 days. And
That's crazy.
11 years later, here I am.
What did you do in Chicago?
I worked for the Millennium Knickerbocker Hotel. It was a historic property in downtown Chicago. Was actually the original Playboy Mansion. So Hugh Hefner owned the hotel. It was the Playboy Hotel.
Some history there.
And his first apartment prior to having like the Chicago apartment was in the penthouse of that hotel. But we had a gorgeous ballroom, 25-foot ceiling, and illuminated. At the time, it was some type of thick plastic, but it used to be like a glass dance floor lit up from underneath. It was just a beautiful, beautiful property. So we did upwards of 100 weddings a year there. And I worked in the catering office and then eventually in convention services. And so I was there for about 4 years prior to coming back to Tampa.
So you graduated college and went right there?
Yep, I graduated from Florida State and then headed up to Chicago. At the time, Tampa was a very different place.
So
you think about downtown Tampa, in the early 2000s, mid 2000s at 5 o'clock, like
It's
it was
dead.
dead.
Nothing was going. There's
what
no
was it?
restaurants.
You could go to the hub. That was about it.
Yeah, it's the only bar that's still there too. I think that was about it.
So I just wanted to do something
There
different.
was no parks.
Yeah,
There was
I wanted
nothing.
I wanted to go somewhere new and somewhere different. I think for me, as an only child and always being really independent, I wanted to know that I could do it on my own. I wanted to just do something on my own. And the best time, I think, that you can make those types of choices and go on that type of adventure when you're not married and you don't have kids and
Don't have any
you're kind of
commitment,
free.
nothing holding you down.
You can kind of do what you want to do for you and grow. And then when it was time to come home, it was time to come home.
Yeah, boom, done. Coming home.
And was that
Similar.
your first job back to Tampa? Was that the Center Club?
I actually worked for the Marriott on West Shore for about a year and then went to the Center Club after that. And I was there for just about 4 years as their director of private events.
That's what I remember. I remember meeting you for the first time was when you were at the Center Club.
Yes. And I still say to this day, the Center Club is like my 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. The Center Club is my 6 degries of Tampa. Almost every relationship that I have professionally, I can stem back to the Center Club.
Yeah, cool.
Either people I've met there or people I've met through people that I met there. And after being an employee partner, I joined as a member and now I serve on their board of governors and just still really believe in the work that they're doing at the club to connect people.
It's great.
And it's such a young club. Like, I feel like that even just the renovations they've recently made is just really attracting like a younger, professional. And to me, it feels very inviting. Some of the other clubs can feel a little stuffy as a young professional, and I feel like the Center Club just feels so
They did
inviting
a
all
good
the
job
time.
on
Yeah,
it. They were going after that younger member.
yeah, I think they've
professional.
done a really nice job doing that.
Fabulous. And I know you're a good friend. Did he already leave, Robbie? Is he
Robbie is already, he left for Dallas, I think 2 weeks ago, took a great opportunity there. I'm so excited to see him. He started out, he came to the Center Club when I was there as the director of private events and was the service director. And then over the past, couple of years has moved into different roles within the company.
Yeah.
And so to see him excel and to see him step into a brand new opportunity, I'm really proud of him.
I am too. I mean, we look at people in different positions, and you go, and then you hear, I'm a general manager now, and you're a general manager. You're a kid. How'd you grow up so fast?
Right.
He left and went to. I don't
You
know
forget
where he
it's
went.
been that long, though,
Yeah.
and then the experience that they've had
Yeah.
throughout the years in their positions.
Yeah, for sure.
So then Center Club, and then you left Center Club and did what?
I left the Center Club to go work for the corporate office for Grillsmith Restaurants. So at the time, I had 6 restaurants in 4 different counties. It was a great opportunity from a leadership perspective. It was a great company to work for. And I essentially got to start, their private dining and catering department, which was really exciting to be able to go into the different properties, kind of be in a different place every day with different people, train their banquet captains, train their team on how to sell and how to move that company forward from a different perspective, from just dining to private events and some outside catering. And it was a great opportunity to have, but a couple hundred miles a week in my car traveling around. I might start in Lakeland and end in Clearwater and then get back to South Tampa.
Yeah.
And so I did that for about a year. And then I just knew that I really wanted to do something that was more specific to the South Tampa community. It's really where my heart and soul is. All my friends are here. My family's here. I know it's like a joke that I don't go outside the South Tampa bubble. I rarely go north of Kennedy unless there's like a really good
That's what
incentive.
they used to say about me till I moved to
know.
Clearwater.
So I was excited. It was a great opportunity. I learned a lot in that role, met a lot of great people, got really involved with MPI and some other organizations from a leadership perspective. But when I had the opportunity to be back in South Tampa, which is just really where my heart was and my passion was, I was excited to kind of be more home-based.
So you were there for a year, and then that's when the opportunity at the chamber came about.
So I actually worked very briefly with my good friend Lisa Schock at Toffee to Go.
We love Toffee to Go.
I totally forgot about that.
And they were in the they were still in the property on Bay to Bay. This was before the dessert spot and before the big shipping and production facility in Pinellas. And so I was there with her for through season. So I got to really experience what happens there during
Christmas
their busy
time.
season for the fall and winter. It was a great opportunity, and I loved Lisa and Jim. But actually, how I ended up at the chamber was very serendipitous. And so it goes back to those relationships from the Center Club. So the South Tampa Chamber has been hosting our monthly meetings at the Center Club since 1994. I believe Anita Ramirez was our president of the board at the time, and so she was who brought us to the club. Prior to that, they had been having their meetings at places like Steak and Shake and the Howard Johnson and a couple of places like that. Chinese restaurant at one point. And so as the membership grew and the chamber started to become elevated in the community, they really wanted to move into a different type of environment. And so I was actually as the director of events at the Center Club, was the Center Club contact for the chamber when the chamber was hosting events there. And so Judy Gay, who was my predecessor at the chamber.
I remember Judy. I remember the little office you guys had right there across from Plant High School.
South Del Neighbor.
I remember going over there for, I don't know what, different events and stuff. But it was a tiny little
office. And Judy became one of my friends and a mentor of mine. And I actually ran into her literally on the sidewalk coming out of a little cupcake place over on Neptune. And we started talking for a couple minutes, and they had just gone through kind of a exploratory deep dive into the chamber. They had some students, I believe from the business school at UT, had come in and audited the chamber, and they had a really forward-thinking board of directors at the time who knew that the chamber had to make some changes. They really needed to grow and switch directions from a strategic standpoint, from a networking organization or a social organization into a stronger voice for business and advocacy here in South Tampa. And so as they made some changes to the bylaws and the structure of the chamber, the next step was to grow the staff. And so Judy went from executive director to the first president and CEO. And they really went from a member-managed organization to the board of directors took more of a governance and strategic visioning position in the chamber. And then they became more staff managed from the day-to-day operations.
Yeah.
And so Judy said, we're looking for someone that understands a membership organization, managing personalities, managing people, and enjoying people. You can't work for a membership organization if you don't love people, but who can come in and revamp our programming and events and help take us to the next level. And I said, oh, that's kind of similar to my background. I worked in country clubs and restaurants and hotels. And she goes, yes, I need someone exactly with your background. And I said, well, I might be interested in that. And so we went to lunch about a week later, literally wrote a job description together. She got it approved by the board later that week, and 2 weeks later I went to work at the chamber.
Wow.
So originally as the director of events and membership, and I was in that position for about 6 months.
Well, back up. Before you did that, was there any other staff other than Judy that ran the chamber? Was it all volunteers?
I think she had some part-time people that were kind of in and out.
I was trying to think of anyone else I remembered to associate with the chamber when Judy was running it, and I couldn't think of anyone.
Yeah, really strong volunteers.
Yeah. Who was the president at that time that had this forward thinking? Because it really, I know I was a member for so many years. We've had this conversation, and not that Judy didn't do, she did the best she could do at the time and of the times, but I actually took a hiatus because I think I shared that with you. It was like a sleepy little chamber. Like they weren't doing much. It wasn't a cheap chamber to be a part of. It would have been a fair if you felt like it was value that you were receiving for your membership.
You had a monthly luncheon and occasional ribbon cutting, and I feel like that was all that we had going on.
Yeah,
before.
and I tried to always support it because I thought it was important, and it was where our office was located. But I couldn't, I couldn't afford to do it at my time. It wasn't the money that I couldn't afford; it was the time that you have to invest. But if there was going to things that
they weren't quality events.
So I have to, Kelly, you should be really proud of yourself. I know the community is, I tell you all the time, you took this sleepy thing to, we're at a whole new place. Like, it's a tough, when you're looking at the Tampa Chamber, South Tampa Chamber, and the Greater Chamber, like, who should I really join if you're going to have to pick one from the other? So a
couple things. So as far as putting the groundwork in place, I really want to give credit where credit's due. So Carson Bomar was our chair of the board at the time. Star Tirka was our chair-elect. And then, of course, Judy was there. And I really think that the three of them and the leaders that were on the board at the time, and again, that process they went through with the students from UT, helped to lay the groundwork and create the roadmap that led us to where we are now.
Or it may not even really exist. It might have had faded.
Right. And I mean, and to be very honest with you, at the time, from a financial perspective, from a membership perspective, they weren't in a good place. But I think collectively, there was a group of people that came together and knew that they wanted to make some changes and push it forward. Mm-hmm. And so they really gave me a great roadmap, to start with. When I came in as the CEO. So we really did that. We broke the chamber down to bare bones. Like, think about renovating a home. We took it down to the studs and said, let's build it back one piece at a time. But I really spent that first year focused on the chamber. I removed myself, from other obligations or other commitments I had made.
Give up.
I had breakfast, lunch, and dinner with members, current members, past members, members that had left the chamber and said, what can we be doing different? What can we be doing better? What do you want? How can we be serving you? And over and over and over again, it has to be more than networking. There's 100 networking organizations in Tampa. What else is there? And so really looking at advocacy and what can we be doing, as the voice of the small business owner and the voice of businesses that are here in South Tampa to help move our community forward. And then speaking of Greater Tampa Chamber, we have an amazing relationship with them. And it's something that's unique-ish to Tampa. I'm a member of Florida Association of Chamber Professionals, and I serve on the board. And we hear all the time the struggles that chambers feel, or any organization feels, when there's a lot of competition in the area. But you look at the list of the top, 30 or so chambers that the Business Journal puts out every year, and a lot of us share borders or overlap space or overlap members. And something that's really unique in Tampa is that we all collectively share the mindset that we want you to be involved in the community, and we want you to be a part of a chamber as a business owner, because we believe in the brand and the work that chambers are doing industry-wide. Mm-hmm. So we want to help you find the chamber where you belong, where you fit in, where you're going to get the most ROI for your time and money. And if it's not my chamber, it might be Greater Tampa. If it's not Greater Tampa, it might be my chamber. And funny enough, we send referrals back and forth to each other. Our membership managers and me and Bob Rorlach. Bob Rorlach was the very first phone call I got when the press release went out through the Business Journal that I had been named CEO. The very first phone call I got.
Not awesome.
And he has been I always say, you're all the ships. We do friendship, mentorship, partnership. He's
I like that.
He's been a really great partner. He brought me into the board for FACP, and I just can't speak strongly enough about the value of our partnership. And then from an advocacy perspective, there's so much opportunity for us to be a collective voice as a region. And there's 7 CEOs for chambers in 3 different counties. We all meet quarterly. Staff is not invited. Board members are not invited. It's just the 7 CEOs. We're all very good friends.
Isn't that awesome?
We talk about what's happening in the community and what's happening within our organization.
There's other people who feel your pains or can express their successes.
Kind of a round table.
Yeah, and really share ideas, because you're all going through the same changes.
Because it's a unique industry. There's really nothing like it. So my husband works in IT. He does security for credit card compliance and cybersecurity. So I look at something over his shoulder and it's complete like a foreign language to me. I have no idea what he's doing. And he looks at what I do and it's difficult for him to relate, because I could start my day in a meeting with an elected official. I could have lunch with 200 chamber members, and I can end my day here doing something like this.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, or I can start you never know what I'm doing from day to day, or where I'm going to be, or who I'm going to be connecting with. And that's just not the area where he connects or where he is most comfortable. And so to be able to have other people in your industry that you can connect with and share with, I think is really valuable and learn from. Mm-hmm. Hope Allen at the North Tampa Bay Chamber, now the formerly Wesley Chapel Chamber, again, has been another great resource for me. We share documents, and it was time to redo our bylaws, or when I needed an employee handbook. Don't reinvent the wheel. Call your chamber buddies and say, what do you have? Can you share? How can we be better?
Collaborate it and make it better.
Mm-hmm. When you took over as CEO, was that because Judy retired?
She left the chamber industry. So prior to being at South Tampa Chamber, she'd been at the Brandon Chamber, and she was just ready to do something different with her professional life. You know, a chamber day is a 10 to 12 hour day, as you guys know, doing events, because you can have early morning, late night, in between. And really, I think working for a chamber is the closest thing you can be to an elected official without being elected. So if I'm at the grocery store and I might be in my disguise with my baseball hat and no makeup on, but if a chamber member stops me and wants to talk about something that's happening in the community, you know, I'm not going to walk away. I'm going to stand there and have that conversation. I think also because I am very visible in the community, oftentimes there's people that I may not have met one-on-one, but they may be familiar with who I am. So do be really careful. Don't have road rage, and really behave yourself, and don't make mean faces when you get stuck in traffic behind a car, and just really, you know, always be on your best behavior and best foot forward. I always tell my team, don't ever let me see you on the front page of the Tampa Bay Times for something negative. If it's positive, good to go and give you a raise. If it's negative, don't come to work. You no longer have a job. So, because we represent our entire community.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, everything I do every day, I represent 600 other businesses, 1,600 other people. And in the entire brand of the South Tampa community, we're about 620 right now.
How much was it when you started CEO?
I think we were just under 400 at the time. We kind of had a little nosedive, and then over time we've come back up. This year alone, we've had over 70 new members that have already joined, and we're just now in the end of first quarter.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's exciting.
It's very exciting. And there's so many events. There's so many opportunities for all the chamber members, different ones for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So it could be networking after 5. You've done a really great job.
Now, for people who might be listening and maybe never been part of a chamber or understand what a chamber is, what would you say, layman's terms, the 3 biggest benefits for a business to join a chamber?
I think number one is connections. People that you're going to meet, whether it be through networking opportunities, whether it be through some of the digital options that we now offer. We have, social media, private groups, public groups. So I think just the connections that you make. Tampa is so relationship based. And our chamber specifically from a culture standpoint, we really, really work hard to make it community and relationship based versus transactional. So I think that's number one. From an advocacy perspective, we're doing a lot behind the scenes that people don't even always realize we're doing. We're at city council meetings, we're at county commission meetings, we're in Tallahassee, we're on the phone, we're representing business owners. So you can focus on running your business and know that we're behind the scenes standing up for you. And then third, I think is the educational opportunities that we provide. So we have relationships with Hillsborough County Small Business Development Center, SCORE. We're going into a new relationship with Career Source. So just the opportunities that we offer, because especially small business owners, a lot of times you guys know you're the CEO, the marketing director, the HR director. Sometimes you're the janitor. I mean, you're all the things. And so you have to be able to give people opportunities to learn, outside of their business. So here's just an example. A couple years ago, there were some changes that were being made to overtime legislation. It ended up not going through. An injunction came in place and it didn't go through, but we provided free educational opportunities for members to come in and meet with an attorney and hear from the Department of Labor. Here's what this means and how this can affect your business and the steps you need to take to protect yourself. So that if you didn't have an attorney on retainer, or you didn't have, an HR department who understood all the legal terms that were coming out in a legislative document, that people understood, here's what you need to do to make sure that your business is protected and that you're employing your staff legally.
And then what are you participating in, Mike? You're going to a leadership.
Yeah, the one on Friday that Debbie puts on, it is the
our Leadership Success Series.
Yes,
it's a new program that we rolled out this year in partnership with Debbie Lundberg from Presenting Powerfully with Debbie Lundberg. So the first session that we did last month was on public speaking, to make sure that you're presenting yourself appropriately, effectively, as a leader. This week is going to be, I believe, about leading as a leader, but also how to lead your team and what that looks like. We'll have another session that will be on communication. So everything from how you speak to how you write to how you verbally have conversations with people. And then the last one is going to be on etiquette, business etiquette, the things that we don't think about, some of the subconscious things that we might do, whether it be when you're dining or when you're in a meeting or when you're meeting with someone one-on-one, to make sure that we're well-rounded individuals representing our businesses in a positive way.
Yeah. He came back. He said, "I think I'd like to sign up for all the four of
it was
us."
a great series. The public speaking, really caught my eye to what, I know that's kind of Debbie's thing, the public speaking, but just the little tips and stuff that she provided, and the small setting it was too. I think there's about 20 people, 15
I didn't know
to
you
20
went to
people.
that. You should have come back, teach me something.
Yeah, and it was just
I
great.
know
I told her
it, yeah.
afterwards, I'm really looking
Yeah.
forward to the next 3
Yeah.
other series that she's putting
I
together,
learn
so.
something from her every time I spend time with her, whether it's having her as a presenter or a speaker or a
I
facilitator.
have
We
to.
do a lot
Yeah,
with her.
It's funny you say that. The same way every time I talk with her.
But I have the opportunity. I serve on the board of governors at the Center Club with her. She just came on board as my co-chair for the Air Force Ball.
Nice.
So I'm really excited for that partnership. But every time I spend time with her, I feel like I learn something new that impacts either my professional or personal life. So I think she's really special.
Yeah, let us know if we can help with that ball. We could maybe partner with that and somebody collaborate.
It's a really fun event. This is my 5th year on the committee, my 2nd or 3rd year as the civilian chair. We're one of the few Air Force balls in the country that has a civilian committee and that partners with our community the way we do. We're also the largest Air Force ball outside of Washington, D.C. So when people have been to other Air Force balls, our airmen and our leadership out at MacDill, and they come to Tampa, they say no one does it like we do in Tampa.
Wow.
We've had people that have retired and come back the next year to come back to the ball. But really it all comes down to the airmen, the purpose of the ball. While we as civilians have a great time and enjoy the event, it's one of my favorite nights of the year. Just the tradition and the ceremonial part of it. It really comes back to the airmen. So airmen that are a certain rank or under get to come for free. So we rely heavily on sponsorships to be able to support that.
Nice.
But it's just a night for them to come, feel appreciated by our community, bring a date, and just enjoy Tampa and everything that Tampa is all
Where
about.
do you host it at?
We will be back at the Hilton downtown again this year. So
Nice.
we average just under 1,000 attendees. So we're very limited on where we can go. And we want to keep it centrally located. The majority of our young airmen, our enlisted airmen, live on base. And so we provide, transportation options for them, back and forth.
Very nice.
And so we have to keep it kind of close. We also have a lot of military people that live in Brandon. And so downtown's a great place for people that are on base or live in South Tampa can get there. People that are coming from the Brandon area can get there. So it's a nice central location. And Hilton has been a great partner for us over the past several years.
That's
Now,
wonderful.
I know your involvement with Air Force Base and with our military affairs. What kind of struck your desire to get heavily involved? Do you have family that was in the service, or is there something like a special connection that why you are so involved and why it means so much to you?
My stepfather was in the Air Force, and he's a Vietnam veteran, but that was prior to us becoming family members. And so while he talked about it a lot, and his dad was also an Air Force veteran, and while their family talked about it a lot, it wasn't something I experienced growing up. But the connection really started when I came to work at the chamber. So we had this Air Force base here in Tampa, and I remember going to air shows growing up, with my parents. Very different than it is today. You used to be able to drive your truck directly out onto the flight line. And I remember we would be in lawn chairs in the back of my dad's truck, watching air show.
You're
a lot bigger and a little different today.
Yeah.
But when I came to the chamber, our military affairs committee is one of the strongest community aspects of our chamber. Our chamber has been involved with MacDill Air Force Base since inception. We actually helped to provide housing, both temporary and permanent housing, for the first group of people who came to build the base back when before it became MacDill Field. So we've been involved with the base since the 1940s, since inception. And so our military affairs committee is one of our strongest committees. They kind of switched gears a couple years ago while providing appreciation and receptions and those types of programs are great, and there's a lot of them here in Tampa Bay. Our military affairs committee switched gears a couple years ago to focus on transitioning military members. So MacDill Air Force Base, I think, is the 3rd largest employer in our region. I think the only thing ahead of it is Hillsborough County Public Schools and Publix, or them and Publix might even be flipped, I'm not sure. They employ nearly 20,000 people out at MacDill, majority of which are actually civilians. So this is a huge economic impact that it has here on our community by billions. because the majority of the people that are stationed out there from an Air Force perspective are in and out, every 2 to 3 years. But the civilians that are there are here in the Tampa Bay community. Those are our neighbors, our friends, our family, our brothers, our sisters. But the work that they're doing out at MacDill is so great. And you think these are people that are putting their lives on the line every day. They're walking into danger so that the rest of us can be here and feel safe. And so how do you then not want to give back to them and provide opportunities for them? So the opportunities that have come before me as far as MacDill all stem through the chamber. I had the opportunity to participate as an honorary commander a couple years ago, which is a really cool community program. So every year, there's multiple groups that are out at MacDill, but the 6th Air Mobility Wing is our active duty wing. The 927th Air Refueling Wing is our reserve wing. And then there's CENTCOM and SOCOM, which are both out there. And it's a very unique scenario to have two big commands out there with 2 4-star generals. And so our honorary commander program is the opportunity to bring civilian leaders onto base. We partner them with a group or squadron commander with one of the wings. And usually we look for people that don't already have a connection to the base. And so that was really when I started getting heavily involved. So part of the idea is for us to come on base and learn their mission. We do immersion days. We get to come spend an entire day with a medical group, or an entire day with the maintenance and airfield group, or an entire day with their support squadron.
They have a cool K9.
Yes. We do the tour every year with our members. But the opposite of that is that we bring them out into the community. So we have the opportunity to invite those commanders during the 2 years that they're here in Tampa out into Tampa to experience our community. And so from there, we generally will find a small group of people every couple years that want to continue on after that honorary commander program is done and continue working. And so some of the opportunities are the MacDill Support Council. It's a small group. Some of the volunteers have been there, 20, 30 years. We work directly with the base commander to help connect them to the community. But then there's opportunities for Air Force Ball, Air Fest that's coming up, Warrior Games, which we're hosting in June, which is essentially an Olympic-style event for combat wounded veterans. They host it all over the world. And this year, SOCOM happens to be the host of that program. And so it's going to be, they'll have events in downtown Tampa. The convention center and Amalie Arena are kind of home base, but events out in Wesley Chapel, Lutz. I mean, they're using facilities all over the Tampa Bay region.
That's so cool.
For these really, really cool sporting events. There's volunteer opportunities, sponsorship opportunities. But the most important thing they're asking for from that perspective is for people to come out and watch. Spectators to come out and cheer on the athletes.
Yeah, very cool.
So working in entertainment, how it feeds your entertainers when they have a great audience and people that want to engage and participate. So it's the same thing for these athletes.
That's
That's what we're really focused on, is getting people out to the events. And all of the events are going to be free to attend, which is a really exciting, special thing for our community.
Yeah, very cool.
Definitely sign us up for volunteering for that one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I did that one day. I forget what it's called, but the chamber members can sign up, and we get a full day tour of the main stuff on base. And it was the first time I had ever actually stepped foot on base in my entire 35 years of living in Tampa. And
that's the case for most people.
I've never,
Some
lived here
people
my whole
thought
life.
it was all secure. You could get on.
Yeah, you
They
didn't know you could get
changed
on.
a lot. It was more
Yeah.
like that, and they've been much more inviting.
Yeah, it was just really cool to meet and to see. I loved so many female pilots. That I thought was so cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a different Air Force than it was, back in the day. Our immediate past base commander was Colonel, now General April Vogel. But at the time that she was here, our vice commander was also female and our command chief was also female. So essentially, the top 3 leaders on our base in the first time in the 75-year history were all female.
Weren't one of those guest speaker, or they spoke?
We
at one
did.
of the
We
luncheons?
had, yes.
Yeah.
General Vogel was our speaker for one of our
She
luncheons.
was wonderful. She was so just so down to earth. It was
And we'll have Colonel Snelson this year, who's our current base commander. He and his wife and family have been here since last summer, so just coming up on their 1 year. But just another, just really stellar family that's here with us in Tampa. I'm leaving Thursday morning. I'm headed with them on a civic leader flight up to Charleston. So we're going to take 20 civilians up in one of our KC-135 aircraft, most of whom have never been on a military flight before. And they're going to get to experience an in-flight refueling. So we're going to meet up with a plane, with another plane in
cool.
air, and they're going to get to actually see what the mission of our of what they do at MacDill is. And then we're going to spend the night out at Joint Base Charleston, and we'll get to tour their base and meet with their leadership and meet with some of their community leaders to find out how are they working with their base, and then share some of our best practices of what we're doing here in Tampa.
Yeah, they have the Citadel right there, so they have a lot of young men wanting to probably go into the military after college too.
I'm sure.
The Citadel right there in
And then
Charleston.
our chamber too is really big on helping the veterans that are retired getting back into the workforce. You've got a big program started.
Yes, we've welcomed over 250 transitioning military members, veterans or military spouses through our program over the past 2 years. So quarterly we offer kind of a speed networking environment. We do a networking class. Because it's very different when you're in a civilian networking environment versus what happens in a military environment. So they learn how to network from a civilian standpoint, again, because Tampa's so relationship based. And then we have 20 to 25 civilians who do a speed networking so that they can just start honing those skills as they're coming out of the military. And we also invite military spouses to participate in that program. And we were awarded the 3-star Chamber of Valor by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce in hiring our heroes last year for the work we're doing for transitioning military members
beautiful.
and military spouses. And I think there's like less than 30 chambers in the United States that have been recognized with that here in Tampa, both us and Greater Tampa Chamber. So it was a really nice
It's really amazing
recognition.
work that your board of directors and yourself are doing. Do the board of directors get to go? Are they going on these trips with you, or is that
this particular trip that I'm going on this week, Rebecca Nault from PBX Change, she's one of our board members, who has been volunteering with some programs out at MacDill specific to their STEM fair and some other opportunities. She's going to be coming on this trip. There's 2 other chamber CEOs from local chambers.
Nice.
And I think 2 other chairmen from 2 other chambers that are coming with us. So we're going to have like a good contingency up there. And then our reserve wing just got back from their trip last week. We had several members that were on that trip. Rita Lohman, Debbie Lundberg, Buster Levin, Renee Brunel. So we had a bunch of members that were on that trip last week as well.
Yeah.
They went out to San Antonio.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Now, with everything that's going on, there's so much growth going on in our backyard in South Tampa in the next couple of years, with everything from, I guess, Midtown would still be South Tampa, even though it's a little north of Kennedy. It's still South Tampa, right? Would that still be in the jurisdiction of the Tampa Chamber of Midtown?
It's so funny because it depends who you ask. And a couple of years ago, I went through the process. I reached out to both Hillsborough County and the City of Tampa. And I said, what is South Tampa? And Hillsborough County told me essentially the north part of Kennedy, like the north side of Kennedy Boulevard, south to MacDill, West Shore Boulevard, to including downtown Tampa.
Okay.
The City of Tampa told me 275 south to MacDill Air Force Base, West Shore Boulevard, and they cut it off like at the river. So basically right on the other side of
Like
UT.
before Channel side and
they
all that.
included Davis Island and Harbor Island, but not downtown Tampa. So it kind of depends who you ask.
Yeah.
So for our chamber, we really focus 275 south to MacDill, Bay Shore to West Shore. And that is the service area of where we focus as far as when we're going out meeting with potential members, where we host our events, and from an advocacy perspective, right? However, we have members in 64 different zip codes across the United States, because someone may have a corporate office in one city, but they may have a location here, a satellite office, a marketing person.
Yeah.
So you may have someone who lives here but works somewhere else. You may have someone who lives somewhere else but works here.
Yeah.
So one of the things that's unique with our chamber is that one of our core values is to be an inclusive organization. So anyone that wants to be a member of our chamber can be a member, no matter where your business is located. However, from an events and advocacy perspective, we focus 275 south to MacDill. So that middle part there, a lot of people, I think most people probably consider West Tampa, but it really looks like, if you look at a map, that 275 South is our little peninsula. So for us as a chamber, that's what we focus on. But I think especially people who have lived here for a long time, everybody kind of has their idea of what is South Tampa, West Tampa. And so we definitely don't want to encroach on anybody else's
It always makes me laugh
area.
Girlsmith reopened, but into the north of Kennedy area, which was always a South Tampa location. I'm like, is it still considered South Tampa?
I mean, the Carrabba's that's 20 feet away is
Right.
Carrabba, South Tampa.
Right.
So I don't know. And then, Steinbrenner Field and, Raymond James Stadium are members, and we do events there. And
Right.
so, I mean, that's just a little bit
It
north.
just makes me laugh when we.
Yeah.
It's always been
There's kind of like a pocket, in that space.
pocket,
But we have
yeah.
members in downtown. We have members, in the airport area, kind of over in that area of town. So we don't deny anybody that wants to be involved.
I like that. If they want to be a part
It's an
of it.
all-inclusive,
It's
yeah.
an all-inclusive.
But-
It's a good way to be.
right. Yeah.
Because depending on the type of business that you have, right? So if you're a retail store or a restaurant, you probably want to be kind of in our service area. But if you are a general contractor, if you work in construction, I have a flooring company that is kind of more in the North Tampa area. But if you're hiring someone to do the floors in your house, you're going to hire the best person to do the job. You don't care where their address is because
Right.
they're coming to you.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
get like a
So it kinda
high-end home
depends.
builder that builds a lot of homes in South Tampa, but their address is in Drew Park.
Well, like you
You're
guys
gonna
are
wanna-
here in South Tampa,
Right.
right? But you do business all over the
Everywhere.
state of
Yeah.
Florida
That's
and now
what-
in Georgia.
We always talk about. We talk about we need to
Exactly.
join more chambers. We talk about
Right?
joining, like,
So it's like if you're
belong
coming
so
to
many more.
your customer, it doesn't really matter where you're
It's so
Exactly.
true.
positioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have people that, again, they might live here. So we were the only chamber in Hillsborough County and in Tampa that advocated on behalf of the stormwater assessment 2 years, and we worked on that for 2 years. And we're the only chamber, that stepped up to specifically support that we needed funding for infrastructure improvements, which were going to impact the entire city of Tampa with over $250 million of funding. And we're the only chamber that stepped up to advocate on behalf of that particular program. And so that's nothing against any other chambers, but we realized that it was a need that we had in this community that
Oh,
would
for
impact
sure.
I think
everyone.
I remember seeing the video of you like at city council, like speaking.
Oh my gosh, I was there like once
I
a
would
month.
watch. I forget what channel it is that they posted
And
on.
there's
but-
Kelly.
But
Yeah.
there's Kelly all the time, like just
So-
talking about all the issues with
The
South
night
Tampa.
that it got passed, I forget which hurricane it was. It wasn't Irma because it would have been 2 years ago. It was there a Helen or a something else with an H maybe? Hermine?
Hermione.
Yes.
Hermione.
Yeah.
Me and Sally D are in council chambers giving like our testimony. And like the hurricane is outside, like you're in city council, like the city building, is 100+ years old, and the windows are shaking. And we're like, are we gonna sleep here tonight? Like, how are we gonna get home? Like, Bayshore is gonna be flooded. It's raining outside. Like, how are we gonna get home?
Oh, God.
But we got it passed.
Yeah, way to wait to the 11th hour to get something
I
like that.
know, we got it passed. But now you look at what's happening, right? So, Swan Avenue in front of Memorial Hospital. 3 years ago, we had that big flooding and storm that happened. Ambulances were getting stuck, in the street outside. So if you can't get people in and out of our emergency room in our hospital, that's a problem. That has all now been resolved.
Thank goodness, because it being closed for so long.
They've been
is-
doing a lot.
So
They're
there's
still doing
work
work down
happening
that
on
way,
West Shore,
right?
work
Yeah.
happening on Manhattan. There's work happening on South Tampa. I think the next
Hines,
phase is
like,
going to
Oh, yeah.
Hines had a lot of work.
Del Mabry at Neptune Henderson is still in the work. Is still
Yeah,
going to have some
I
more.
That whole
have
deal
a
maybe
house
like
down
by
that way,
Plant
and my
High School.
tenant,
Yeah.
it's been a hot mess.
Yeah.
Off on the show.
But you look at what's on the schedule for this year. Now they're going to be moving into Seminole Heights and doing work. I mean, this is really something that's going to impact the whole city.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
It's
they
wonderful.
need to be done. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and
needed
as soon
for
as we
sure.
get some transportation, we'll be in good shape.
Right.
I know. Well, we got the referendum passed. That's
Yeah.
step one.
Yep. it's a start.
And, looking at that, now we have this opportunity, but then we had this election a month ago, with less than 20% voter turnout, which blows my mind.
Horrible.
So I think the biggest thing that anybody can do right now is at the end of April, we have our final election, our primary election for City of Tampa, and people need to go get out and vote. So while our state representatives and obviously our federal government affect the things that happen to us, there's no one that affects you more than your city council, your county commission, your mayor. So doesn't matter who you're voting for. I'm not going to tell you who I'm voting for because I never give those tidbits away, but go out and vote to whoever it is. Do your research. Who's going to help move Tampa forward? Who's going to be the best for our city and go out and vote.
Yep.
And then people will be in office to spend that money appropriately and wisely.
Yeah.
So tell us what's in the future for Kelly. What's in the future for the chamber? Like, where's the next 2 years look like? 2 to 3 years.
So it's really exciting at the chamber right now. We have 2 brand new staff members who have come in just guns blazing, full of energy, lots of great new ideas, and I'm really excited to see the new energy that they're going to bring. I'm still recovering from.
Yeah, that's okay. You want some water? Got it.
Sorry.
That's okay. Yes, that is exciting. She had a couple team members that were there for quite a while, and this life changes. And
Yeah,
they had
so
to
we're
move
super
on.
excited. So there's a lot still to happen at the chamber. No matter how far we've come, there's still so much that we can do. And we're going to continue to grow the team with another team member later this year. We're looking at a deep dive into our events. Why do we do them? How do we do them? How do they benefit our members? And then continue to grow from an advocacy perspective at the state and federal level. From a personal perspective, my answer is probably going to be a little different than some of the responses that you've had from past guests. So I'm about to turn 40. And most people I would think who are probably at my age are looking for what's that next career step? How can I grow? How can I move forward? What's the next bigger and better thing to do? My husband and I are in the process of downsizing right now. So we are growing our family through adoption.
Nice.
And we are...
Oh, that's a downside?
Well, no, so let me put this right. Inside our home, inside our family, we're growing.
Okay.
But outside of our home and outside of our family, we're really just looking at our life and our lifestyle and the commitments that we've made and making those adjustments so that when baby Flannery comes, we're ready to kind of have that shift from a priority standpoint. So I'm planning to stay working full-time at the chamber. So any working moms that are listening, email me, send me your advice, all the things I need to know about how to, balance. But I'm going to continue on the board of directors for Girl Scouts of West Central Florida. I'm actually going on the executive committee later on this month, and I'm really excited for that opportunity.
You've done a good job with that too.
It is an organization that just speaks to my heart. It's something that I do for myself as a passion project. It's not related to work. It's not related to my family. It's just a mission I believe in. I was a Girl Scout, here in Tampa. And so that will continue to be a focus and a priority. And then I have made some commitments out at MacDill in regards to, finishing up my last year as chair of Air Force Ball and then Airfest coming up in March of 2020. But other than that,
You're going to get off of all these
there
other
was a
boards?
long time where every opportunity that came up, I said yes, because I was afraid of what if I say no, people will stop asking me, stop inviting me. And now we're just reprioritizing. So as new opportunities come up, if they don't really fit, how is it going to help the chamber, or how is this, very specifically going to impact, my passion for mentorship and leadership development for young girls, or how is this going to affect increasing the quality of life and helping our military members? My answer at this point is just no. So, everybody has a word of the year, and last year
we had a heart-to-heart about the same topic.
So as other opportunities come to a close, I'm not renewing them. So, it's been 5 years I've been on Air Force Ball, and again, I love it, and I'll continue to sponsor the event and go to the event and support it. But in my last year, serving in that capacity, and I previously served as an appointee for one of our city council members on the budget advisory committee for the city, which was a great opportunity. I learned a ton. But I've had a recently elected city council member who asked me if I had a desire to come back in that role. And I said, I love it and I'll help you find someone new, but no,
you can't.
My focus is going to be the chamber
and your family
and my family.
And it's important because you do a lot. It's something that's what we talked about, Jesse and I, this morning. Something gives. If you can't say no and start prior, home is where it's got to be first, and family, and then your job comes into play, and there's a balance there, and it can be done. Right. But you have to find a way, and how I feel it is to be is that you've got to learn to say no, and when you do say yes, that you give all you've got to it, but to really look at your time.
Yep, and that's the thing. When I do say yes, I want to give 110%. So I'm not a good committee member. I always want to be a leader. It's just how I'm ingrained. I think I learned it from my mom. I watched her as a volunteer and some of the leadership roles that she held when I was growing up. And so when I've gotten asked to do stuff, I'm like, well, you going to put me on a committee, or can I be on your board? Do you want me to do this, or can I lead a committee? And it's just how I'm made. And so just taking a step back from all that. But it's good. It's kind of been freeing. I have my nights and weekends a little bit more free now. And, again, with new staff members at the chamber, they've been my focus the last couple of weeks and will continue to be for the next couple of months, because I want them to feel empowered, and I want them, to have all the tools that they need to excel in their job, because that's really the people that impact our members even more than I do. My job is to be out in the community representing our members, but our staff are really the first line of, people that are impacting our members and providing service to our members. And so my focus right now is just the chamber and getting the chamber where it needs to be so that, hopefully, towards the latter part of this year, early part of next year, I can take a step back, go out on maternity leave and enjoy a little newborn baby at home.
That'll be exciting. I know
So
when
exciting.
you very.
And you'd be a great mom.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You'll
Thank
be
you.
a
So
great
nurturing
mom.
everyone around you and to all the people that you have come across and you have the privilege of knowing you shows that you've got that nurturing just nature about you.
Thank you. We're very, very excited. It's been a very trying process. Adoption is not for the faint of heart. There's the paperwork and the home study and just the invasiveness of it is way above and beyond from a difficulty standpoint, more than we anticipated. And now we're just like in the waiting phase. So everything's, signed, sealed, delivered. Now we're just waiting.
Very best friend who maid of honor at my wedding went through that same process. So I felt like I was there with her and experienced that. And
It was beautiful,
yeah,
too.
It ended up a beautiful story. They have a beautiful daughter, and she's going to be 5 this year, and actually in May coming up, she'll be 5. But it was just hard to believe to see the process that they went through over years and years of trying to have a child and then going through the adoption process. And I know we've talked about this. They went through a very similar process that you're going through right now, and just like that waiting game, like you don't know when it's going to happen. They can get a call tonight and say
We could get a call at any time and say, and we had, a friend, another couple that have been our adoption mentors for us. They walked us through their journey and they've been kind of walking us through the steps as we've gone through it. And they got a call on a Wednesday afternoon and they brought baby home on Friday.
yeah, it's crazy. So you just got to be ready. You just gotta,
set.
as
I
ready
know.
as you
I'm
can
ready to
be.
start shopping, and my
Yes.
husband's like, no. So the private Pinterest board is set up. The Amazon shopping list is getting there, but we've got a little bit of time, so we're excited.
So exciting.
Get
for
that,
you.
well, I think everything's timing. Everything's when it happens, and there's never a good time.
Right.
That's why we had a talk this morning. It's just it's never a good time, and they're 27 years later, 30 years later. It's like it's wonderful. I never thought, like when you called your mother and say I'm coming home. When I got that phone call, I was like, wow, I never thought he'd come back to Tampa, but people come back to Tampa.
Yeah.
People come back.
People are coming back.
Or you're just
Especially
needing you never
now.
leave. Like you really saw a good thing early on, and you
Yeah,
knew
like,
like,
yeah, and
hey, this is why am I gonna leave?
Why would I leave
Crazy.
it? That's how Jeffrey.
Says your leader.
I love this city.
That's how
I'm
Jeffrey
never
feels.
leaving.
Like,
Yeah.
why would I want to go anywhere else? Like, he had opportunities to go, like, to New York. Why would I want to do that? Look at where our backyard is, So it's awesome. It's awesome.
I love your passion and your love for Tampa, because I think all of at least us in this room have the equal love for the city and to see the growth and the changes and everything that's happening. If you were to describe Tampa in 3 words, what were the 3 words you would
Oh my
describe?
gosh, you guys should have sent me that question
No,
ahead of time.
that's
I don't
the point.
even
You
know
can't
how to
even think
pick
about
3
it.
words. I think it's exciting. I think every day there's something new and exciting happening here, which just thrills me. We do average of 40 ribbon cuttings a year for new businesses, and that's just what we're doing. So to see
And it's all small businesses.
everything
which
that's
is
happening is very exciting.
Awesome.
Just that sense of community. I think people here in Tampa have Tampa pride.
They
People
do.
are excited to live here. They want to live here. We want to bring our kids home. We want to bring new people here. So I think just that sense of
I
community
love that
and pride.
hashtag. We work where you, or we live where you vacation. We see that hashtag.
Yeah.
People always say.
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, a third. This is hard, you guys.
I know.
Put you on the spot.
I know.
Yeah.
It's an exciting time to be here. Tampa pride, sense of community. Gosh, what's the last
I
one?
think just our weather.
I
Like,
know.
it's
Gosh,
just
it's
like
beautiful.
like
It is. It's
the
beautiful.
growth
Beautiful,
and
beautiful
in
as
South
it
Tampa
was.
especially, we still have, you could go down one street, I call them sugar shacks that are rebuilding, and then you have these beautiful homes, and you still have the greenery around here. So it's,
That's like when you're up at the Center Club and you look south.
yeah, you still
And it's all the
they're
tree
not,
canopies.
not all
Beautiful.
the zero lot lines. You still have people. that
I've got
have some
6
property.
trees on my property.
Yeah.
So we love them.
Yeah, so it's, yeah. Well, I am thrilled and proud of you, and to be able to call you our friend and watch you grow. And I was proud to have you honored in our magazine this
Thank
year.
you so much. That was wonderful.
Yeah,
by the way.
and that's how it was wonderful, and it was, I say this in every so far every chat, but that it really was a process. Like we were asked for some community leaders and who to nominate some people, and then I placed my phone call to the gentleman that we really hired somebody to take it on. And I said, I just have a few favorites. And he goes, it doesn't work
It's
out.
kind of how like you guys do the South Tampa, the business
of the year.
Like you want to say you have your favorites or whatever, but it's a total outside company.
We have to use the
grades us.
third party. We work with SCORE as our judges because every year I see the applications that
Like,
grow.
how do you
Every year we had
think?
50 applications this
wonderful.
year.
It's wonderful.
And then I see the list of semifinalists, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I see the list of finalists. And then when they finally call me, they don't call me until about 2 weeks before with the winners because I have to order the awards, obviously.
Yeah.
But every year, I'm so excited for the people who won, but my heart breaks for the people that were finalists. With that said, 12 finalists out of 50 plus applications out of
an
600
honor.
member businesses is a big deal.
Right.
But I just see some of these businesses, I know how these business owners and how they work and how hard they work. And so, we've had people that were finalists, 3 years in a row and then came back to win.
Yeah.
So I just tell people, just keep going. But it's a good opportunity to kind of self-audit your business.
Yeah.
So it's a good
Well,
program.
we
but
joked that we were the
I
Susan
could
Lucci,
never.
so you're like, we're never going to win. We're going to be like Susan Lucci. We're always just going to be runner-up or something.
I was very proud.
So we
and
were
it-
excited when we won.
It could not have come at a better time for us as a business and our turning point of where we wanted to go. So it was an honor to be a part of that process as well.
Because you've had a big couple years, so 30 years in business,
30 years in
growing your business, expanding the services you
Yeah.
offer,
Yep.
the magazine, obviously the podcast. I mean,
And actually, we're still looking. We're not done narrowing it down for our charity choice. We're picking charity right now. So anybody that might hear this, and I think we've got another week or so. So
Yeah,
you're
we've extended the application
if you know
deadline.
any. I like a newer charity or one that is a
smaller
smaller
charity
that doesn't have all the support. We want a charity that 5-6-year-old charity, nothing that we can really give to, and then it will make an impact on them, whatever it is that we can do.
the
for
links
them.
on your website.
The links on our website. It's on Facebook. It's on Instagram. And
Let me just send it out. We have 45 nonprofit members of the chamber. I can shoot out an email.
Why
for
don't
you.
we
we'll tag you in the
we
post
tag
so you
it?
can,
That
so
would
you
be
can shoot that back
amazing.
out.
And we're getting down to we're looking at some really interesting ones coming in, and it's not a big process to apply for. We're just asking for that they're a 510c3 and that they're around 3 to 5, 6 years old of age and could use some. We want to be able to give back, not just monetarily, but volunteer our time. So, and what we do with our charity is that this will be our third one when we pick it, that we keep giving back to the first charity, which was the community food pantry. And so we're upping our game on that for Thanksgiving.
We have a new goal of how many turkeys we're going to
so
donate this year.
I'm looking to donate 500 turkeys this year. We did
my gosh.
100 last year.
That's amazing.
And then we had that funny story, which I was so upset this year. We were there and I saw we ran out of turkeys. So I said, we got to go get turkeys. And Monica Wilson, she's a hoot. She goes, Cindy, for God's sakes, look at it. It just says everything but the turkey. I go, what do you mean? I thought this was it. She goes, you started that whole thing. I said, what? So I thought it meant so then when we brought 100 turkeys, someone else did a couple years ago, but that's what we're going to do because I think that
and it's just a fun event. We've done it the last 2
Yeah.
years. We go to the turkey drive. We meet the people that are really in need, and they're all so kind and so sweet, and they need a little help.
That's a little
that time
shout out
of
for
year.
them, and
It's
they're not they don't have to be homeless. Homeless are welcome, but it is people
people
from
in
their
hard
community
times.
having hard times that they get to cook
that
their meal.
$10-12 turkey is a huge deal for them.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
their families.
Yeah,
And,
very
or
cool.
or their neighbors. A lot of them
Yeah.
are come together as neighbors, and they're going to cook dinner together because they can't afford
Separate. It's
separate
very nice that they
dinners
get to
and-
have it at home. And then we're giving back to Stay and Step, who was our second year charity of choice, which is a spinal injury charity, and we do the band for them and help them with their gala. So that's going to be over at the September 29th, if that's this Friday or Saturday or
that's
28th. I think it's the
yeah.
29th. It's going to be at the Renaissance Hotel this year.
Oh, wow.
So, and then we'll have
A new charity this
a new charity this year, and our magazine will be a launch for that and a fundraiser.
Awesome.
So we'll pick a place hopefully in South Tampa to support a venue, one of the new venues or something. So if you can share that with your members, that'd be amazing.
Absolutely.
And I just can't thank you enough. I think you are, I wish you the best of luck with the baby and have a healthy, and there's no rules, there's no manual. So just embrace it and love every minute of it, because they grow up so fast and then they turn into men, and then, and then it's really a beautiful thing. And
Well, it's going to be a chamber baby. It's going to have a lot of aunts, I think. I think it's going to have a lot of chamber aunts.
Aunts and uncles or bubbies.
Yeah,
they bubby.
yeah.
I'm waiting to be a bubby.
Yep.
But as we always say, Michael,
Thanks, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it, and
have a breezin' day.